Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you to start this day off is a report from an NBC reporter talking about how the Serbians across the globe have given up their guns, but listen specifically to how he couches it as an insult to the United States, but also a little bit of arrogance and condescension, and ultimately pointing to following the Serbian lead of surrendering all firearms. The way in which he does this is important to recognize. Everything will be linked in the description box below if you want to see the entire video or send anything out as usual. Now make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We distribute freedom twice daily on this channel, and we would love to have you help disperse that across this amazing nation as you see fit. Thank you so much for that consideration, and as we go forward on this, make sure you understand this is something that they do consistently. This is a manipulation and a game. That's why we're covering it, and please send this out so others can also be brought awares to what they're doing. And the content today is brought to you by Lear Capital. Now, we all know which way the wind is blowing, and regardless of what the lefties and the Biden administration tell us, a recession is either here or it's right around the corner, which is why now is a great time to inquire about a partnership with a Lear Capital for your financial and precious metal needs. They've been in business for 25 years. They have thousands of 5-star reviews, and they have a 24-hour purchase guarantee. This is something that's at least worth a look for your retirement accounts or just your stacking needs. There's a phone number on the screen right now, and there's a link in the description box below for you to find out a little bit more. The best way to invest in gold is through Lear Capital, and I have my good friends over there to ask them specifically about converting a portion of your IRA or 401k into precious metals. Go to LearLangley.com or call 800-330-4630 and get the free gold and silver investor guide to receive up to $15,000 in free purchase metals if you qualify. Again, there's a link in the description box below and a phone number on the screen, and thank you so much to Lear Capital for making this content possible. All right, my brothers and sisters, we have got to get into this because it would not be a good day, and I would not do my due diligence if I didn't call these people out for their manipulations against the Second Amendment and against freedom everywhere. Check this out. I got 3 clips. We're going to walk through this, and we are going to pick it apart to show you what they're doing. This is just gross, and it's all linked. This is the article, then I'll show you the clips. NBC reporter excited by Serbians turning in their guns suggests America follow and that it really wasn't that difficult. Interesting. All right, let's do a few of the things that they just did in Serbia. Quote, now all existing gun permits are under review, Ingalls said. This is the report. All sales of new guns of any type are banned for 2 years. Gun owners must submit to in-person psychological and background checks, and owning an illegal gun is punishable by up to 15 years in prison. Many Serbs are deciding being armed isn't worth the risk or hassle and are turning in their guns voluntarily. That key point right there we're about to get to, but let me show you these clips because that hassle and not worth it, that's where the left is pushing. Check this out. Here's the first clip, and get your vomit bag ready.
But then came more than thoughts and prayers. Outrage became action. Tens of thousands demanded not just tighter gun controls, but a reorientation of society away from violence, a reaction against armed rage.
Oh, it's a reaction against armed rage. Hey, in the United States, I would be hard-pressed to find anybody who has an acceptance of rage-based violence. That's a manipulation because, the Serbians, they just went ahead and they just got rid of they started a reorientation against violence-based rage. What? Not to mention the fact that they do a little poke and stab at thoughts and prayers, even though that's a cultural acknowledgement of pain, suffering, and sacrifice, and really alignment with your grief. So that's not good enough because they want their gun control. But they turn their rage, their outrage into action. See all these leftist talking points? This is from NBC. That's just the first clip. So let me show you. This right here, this is one of the most important pieces. So check out what he says about guns and what the Serbians did and what was the outcome, because they don't have a Second Amendment in Serbia. Check this out.
Many Serbs are deciding being armed isn't worth the risk or hassle and are turning in their guns voluntarily.
Do you understand what he just said? Amongst a pantheon, it's not a pantheon, that's the wrong word, across a panorama of all these guns, many Serbians are deciding it's not worth the risk and too much of a hassle to be armed. Do you understand what he just said? So I read, and for a reason, the the orientation of what the new laws are, and then it follows up with, well, they've just decided that it's just not worth the hassle, and it's really a bit of a risk, so they're just going to turn their guns in. What he just said was the government has turned up the pressure on the civilians' rights of ownership, and now, because there's too many fines, it's too much of an onerous process, and there's too much of a risk associated with gun ownership, they're just turning them in. Translation: they didn't flat out ban guns. They just made it too inconvenient and everyone didn't want them anymore. Does that sound familiar? Like, oh, I don't know, red flag laws and special carry areas and prohibited areas and all these sensitive places. Does that sound familiar? The left is going to try to do this through death or by hook, by crook. They're not trying to do this just saying, well, we're going to ban everything immediately, because it's not going to happen like that. They're going to make it so inconvenient and make the risk of carrying your Second Amendment rights inconvenient to the point where they get rid of them. Turn the pressure up slowly in a pot and the frog won't jump out. You crank that bad boy up, jump right out. Now, this last piece is where the stalwart reporter is going after the real how did they do it? The crux of the issue with a politician in Serbia. Check this out, because this should give you pause.
There's outrage every time there is one of these mass shootings in the United States. Every time. But very little is done about it. Why is it, do you think, you were able to cross political divides?
I would say the precondition for that is that we're not having these big gun lobbies and the big industry which is behind it.
There were more than 300 mass shootings in the United States so far this year. In Serbia, 2 were more than enough to bring change.
All right, so there's the self-righteous, indignant reporter saying how dumb Americans are, because it only took Serbians 2, but Americans are going through 300, even though those numbers are extremely manipulated. Do you remember 300 coverages of mass shootings in the United States? No, you don't, because they didn't, and it didn't exist. These are different things. They're chalking them up as gun violence archive statistics. Anyway, what was the big secret? How were you able to do it to achieve the amazing outcome of getting rid of all these guns, he says to a Serbian politician. By the way, the Serbs don't have a Second Amendment right. They don't have the Constitution protecting the rights away from the government, and they are a European state. So other than those differences, what was the magic? You overcame political divides. No, numbnuts. If they didn't overcome political divides, they didn't have the rights checking the government the entire time, and so they can do whatever they want. They can run roughshod over the rights of the citizenry because it's not enshrined in constitutional amendments. That's the important piece. They're couching this as, how did you reach common sense? How did you turn outrage into action? How did you get over the thoughts and prayers? Well, it was the gun lobby. No, it was the fact that the Serbians didn't have amendments curtailing the government's power to take their rights. It's the same thing with any other scenario. You take guns out and you put free speech in, they can do the exact same thing. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments field below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.